to another episode of This Is Our Normal. I am Saul Jones, your host, and man, do I have a treat for you guys. We have a guest that is very special to me, but I'll introduce her in just a second. First, I want to let everybody know they can go to our website at thisisournormalpodcast.com. You can hear all the podcasts on there as well with links to iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, and there's a contact thing on there too. You can click the contact, write us. We want you to be part of the show. We want everybody to reach out to us, be part of the show. But let me tell you about my guest here. So she's not an addict. Ooh, I already said she. Oops. Okay, all right. It's a she this week, right? We had to move the studio to do this. We're over at her house, and this guest here is not an addict. However, is a sister of an addict and has been married to an addict. And I thought it'd be cool this week to get the perspective of the non-addict but family member to the addict and see, what their experience is like, so that as addicts, we can learn from that and kind of feel what they feel and grow a little. My guest is Aime Jones, my sister. Say hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going good.
You look nervous.
Just a little bit.
Nervous. So, you've dealt with me, right? For a while, and that hasn't been fun, but more so before me, you had experience with an addict, right?
Yeah.
You married one, right?
I did.
Why don't you tell us a little about that?
Well, I didn't knowingly marry an addict, and I didn't
Ooh,
know.
would you? What, knowingly? Like what? I'll never knowingly marry an addict. Why? Because we're scumbags?
I mean, yeah.
Wow. She means she didn't know he was in active addiction. It's awesome to be able to bring someone on who's been like you're related to an addict, So it, I know that's my dog in the background. Lingo's barking. You're related to an addict, and so I feel like I don't know. I feel like your perspective is a little different than the normal person that isn't an addict and also has never dealt with an addict, but more so because you were married to an addict, I feel like you were able to handle me a little better.
Well, I definitely have more compassion for you, and I had time to soften my heart, and you've handled your addiction differently than my ex-husband did.
Yeah, well, let's hear a little bit about your experience with your ex-husband, because like you said, you have compassion now, you have a lot of, and you showed me compassion the whole time. And, but was it always like that for you? Would you have always had that compassion had you not gone through what you've been through?
No, I think I was definitely, I was afraid because of my experience.
Right.
I believe that I would have lost my life to my ex-husband. He was so deep in his addiction.
How so? What why don't you go, let's hear a little juicy details.
Oh,
let's not be so beat around the bush around here. This is our normal podcast.
Okay.
We get into shit.
So suspenseful.
We get into shit. Let's dig deep.
Okay. So as I was saying, I did not know he was an addict.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from a background, you've already touched on our background.
Yeah.
Of
so
abuse and trauma as a child. And so this person totally love-bombed me. We'll go ahead and say his name, Gary.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Totally love-bombed me. And I wanted to be loved. And so we got married when we were...
Well, let's explain something. So the wanted to be loved thing, because you said abuse, but it's not just, when people hear abuse, it's so broad. Do you mind sharing exactly what kind of abuse? Because as a female, this is important. It's important for people to hear this.
Okay, well, pretty much every kind of abuse. So the physical, verbal, mental, emotional, and then for a few years, sexual.
Yeah.
So
you had, you had been through so much, and you're just looking for love, because that's a lot to go through, everything that you just said.
Right. And more than that, there was, I had my coping skills. I didn't have any.
Right.
I wasn't, in my childhood, I wasn't taught or even allowed to set boundaries.
Okay.
I didn't know how to do that. And I feel like my emotions, I wasn't allowed to have my own feelings. So those were like swallowed whole.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're so serious right now.
Well, I mean, it is. It is a serious thing. It's what's great about all of this, to be able to talk about your experiences of abuse, but then the person that you are today is great. It's a great person. You're a great mom. You have kids. You just sent one boy off to the Marines.
This is true. This is true. I have 3 kids and 3 college degrees, and but I should mention that as an adult, and once I was out on my own and away from all of the situations, I put myself through 4 years of therapy, weekly therapy.
Very important.
Until the therapist said, Amy, you don't need to come in anymore. So I did that for myself. And for me, there's just no way I would have survived any of this without God. Like, there's just no way.
Okay.
I could have done any of this on my own. So
yeah.
I fully believe that I was carried by God and protected by him and delivered by him. Yeah. So for me, that was a huge part of being able to come out on the other side.
That's beautiful. You have to have that. A lot of addicts, if you go to like the AA, NA rooms, that's their main thing. You have to have a God, they tell you that, that's their number one thing. So I can see how that'd be really important. So you've been through that trauma, and then you're how old when you meet Gary?
Well, Gary. So we were 17. I got married at 18.
Okay.
It all happened really fast. And again, it's because I didn't understand boundaries. And there were a lot of lies. Apparently, addicts are notorious liars.
No. Us? Joel, you ever lied before? You ain't never lied.
I'd be lying right now if I told you.
The lies were so insane. They were just crazy. Like from where he graduated high school, it turned out into our marriage. There's Malingo. Into our marriage, I learned that he didn't even go past the 7th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. He didn't have a driver's license. I didn't know that until into the marriage, and we already had Wes. He lied about how late he worked at night until his boss called one time and asked to speak to him. And I said, you work him late every single night. He's never home for dinner. And he said, we never work past 5 p.m. Just all kinds of crazy stuff. But one of the big lies was his whole personality changed. He got really scary, and he started just having major mood swings and like punching walls, to the point where I would go and, while I was pregnant, I would go and hide in the closet because I just didn't know what would set him off. And that was kind of similar to our childhood, not knowing somebody's emotional state and always being kind of on the edge, trying to figure it out and analyze everybody for safety reasons. So one time I didn't know anything about drugs other than like movies.
I have a quick question. When he's having these mood swings and stuff, now looking back, was he in withdrawal at any point? What drugs was he on? Do you know?
Wow. He was on heroin and methamphetamines when they arrested him. Huh. They took him to the hospital first. Yeah, he was on those together.
Let me tell you why. Because like with me, when I was doing meth, I would take opiates to bring me back down. It was you're up with the meth and you have that high, but you start to feel paranoid and you start to anxiety. So opiates got to bring you down. So that's very common. Isn't that crazy? That's what
crazy.
We do. That's
I didn't know. I thought it was one or the other, but he was on both. He was also taking pills. I don't know what kind of pills he was taking, but like I said, I didn't know anything about drugs, but I knew that he was on something. And then I saw the marks on his arms.
Track marks?
Yes.
Oh.
And so I brought his mom into it. And
wait, so he didn't have those before? Maybe had he progressed in his addiction? Is that what's happened?
He was very steady for the first, I would say, year of our marriage. And then things got crazy. Like he changed like a switch.
Well, how long into the marriage when you see track marks? Because they weren't there before, right?
No, Weston was
Okay.
about a year old.
Okay.
He was a toddler. He was just toddling around, little tiny baby. I also found little balloons in the garage, and we had a 3-car garage, and one of the garages had been made into a room, a toy room, but you had to go through the other 2 to get to that room.
Yeah.
And there were boxes and stuff, and I found these little balloons. So I mean,
wait, they were in like Weston's stuff?
No, but I mean, he potentially could have gotten.
So what is your initial reaction to that, and then what do you do with those?
I have no idea what it is.
Oh, okay.
So I bring it to him, and then he tells me, and so then I bring his mom.
He admitted.
He admits it, and then he says he's not doing it anymore. But then I see, we'll say months later, because this was many years ago.
What was the drug? Do you know what?
It was heroin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just say something really quick. As an opiate addict, I know that there's only one way. No, I'm lying. There's infinite ways to get sober. But as an opiate addict for myself, it's impossible for me not to go to treatment, at least to a detox center, to get off of opiates. The withdrawal is just it's so long, and you're just feeling this. You get to like day 5 and you're kind of like, shouldn't this be slowing down here? And you're like, nope, I still feel like I want to kill myself, you know? So it just is so bad. For him to have gotten off whatever he was on, you know, and obviously opiates, he had to have at least been missing work. Instead, you would have seen this sick person or he would have needed to go, like for myself, I have to go to a detox, you know?
Well, we're going to safely say that he never got off of it. But he was telling me that he was off of it.
Of course, yeah.
Of course, I didn't understand or know anything than what he was telling me. And his moods weren't as bad.
So in your mind, you're like, he says he's off it, he's off it.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Until one day he comes home from work and his mom is there, and I notice the marks on his arm.
Oh, no.
And so I say, what are these marks on your arm? He's doing the heroin. He's doing it again. And so his mom asks him, and he says, I'm not. And this is what he says. I fell on a cactus at work.
Bull.
I am not kidding. And
we come up with the most ridiculous.
It was like,
sometimes.
but it was like I was in the Twilight Zone, because his mom said, see now, he fell on a cactus at work. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, he's on drugs. And I was all alone dealing with this. And the person who was supposed to be helping me was enabling him.
Yeah.
More so than I realized. Like, later on, I realized they were giving him all kinds of money. But
Oh, yeah. And probably, to be honest, because the person that was enabling them, I know them as well. I remember it was his family, right?
yeah.
Yeah, they were totally enabling him and probably also doing drugs with him.
I mean, I believe his dad probably.
But that's all us just making shit up. We're just taking guess.
Yes, let's make that clear.
Let's get back to, so she says, no, look, he fell into a cactus.
Right.
Now, did you was there any part of you that believed it, or did you probably at least wanted to believe it, or were you over it by this point?
I was over it. So if we kind of fast forward a little bit, he starts disappearing for weeks and months at a time again, and who knows where he is. And she's helping him with
I know
that
where
too.
he's at. And you know what? You ever heard of a trap house?
Oh my goodness.
That's where I'd be.
So she calls me one night and she says, hey, Gary's on his way over there. He came over here looking for money, and I told him I didn't have any for him. And so I'm kind of proud of her because she's not giving him money. But then she says, I told him that I gave you my last $20.
Oh, he's
so
on his
that
way to come get it from you.
You could buy diapers for the baby.
Yeah.
She knew he was going to come over for that $20.
What?
So, I'm a single mom, basically.
Yeah.
I'm going to school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working. And I'm taking care of this baby. And I don't even have cable television, but we have DVDs
Oh,
and
I
stuff.
didn't even have cable television.
Okay.
Talk about First world problems.
Right? Okay. My point is, all I have are these DVDs, and they're little ones for Wes, and that's joy that he can have.
Yeah.
And also a way that I can get my homework done in my studies.
This was back before downloading music and videos, the story that you're telling right now, correct? So DVDs meant something, you know what I mean? So he was like, that's a stack of cash sitting at your house, those DVDs. Is that where we're going with this?
Yes, actually, honestly,
I
okay,
fucking knew it.
you're sitting here making fun, but let me tell you, my DVD player was like, it was expensive. It was,
No, I'm making fun of him because I would have thought the same thing. Is you have a stack of DVDs at the house. People listening don't realize because they download everything. People don't realize DVDs used to be the only way to watch a movie if it wasn't in the movie theater, right?
Mhm.
It's the DVDs. So that's $20 for every one of those. So you have a stack of DVDs at your house. He needs cash. Is that where we're going?
Well, so he comes over and he asks me for the $20, and I tell him I already used it to buy our child diapers.
Yeah.
The child that he hadn't seen in months, and he didn't even care. And Weston was right there present for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he immediately goes over and he yanks the cables off the DVD player and is going to take it. And I stand up to him.
Nice.
And I tell him no. And I said, this is your son's. I need this. You're not taking this. And I put my hand out to push it back onto the movie center. And he takes me and he throws me.
Jesus Christ.
And before that, we should rewind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He comes in and he's looking for the $20. He picks up the love seat sofa.
Mm-hmm.
So he must be on something.
No, he was a strong guy. He's a big dude.
He was a big dude.
Yeah.
But he lifts it up over his head and it falls back behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And the legs of the couch go through the wall. And then I'm telling him he needs to leave. So then he goes to the DVD player. Then that happens. Then he throws me and I hit my arm against the wall. And he almost looked like remorseful. Like maybe he had injured me.
Yeah.
So Weston is screaming. He picks me up and runs me off to the bedroom so that he can assess me and see how hurt I am. But Weston's like toddling behind, no hurt my mommy. And so Wes was about 2 at this point. And I'm screaming to him, don't close the door. You're scaring him. He needs to see me. He needs to see I'm okay.
Right.
And so he let him in. But the point of this is he wasn't even living with me anymore. But this is a drug addict. And he couldn't live with me. And he couldn't be with me.
Right.
And this is the kind of stuff that anytime he was around, we would be subjected to.
Yeah. Well, now let me. Okay. And nothing of what I say is ever to excuse behavior like that. That is I really hate when women get hurt. What I want to do is just tell you what was going through his head, most likely. Because as an addict, going through a period of time where, like, especially withdrawal, you feel like, I mean, I was married, and there was a time where I needed drugs, right? And Emily, was like, don't drive, because I had also taken a bunch of Xanax. So she was like, don't drive and don't go spend our money because we need food, right? And I get in the truck anyways, and she jumps in the bed of the truck. I don't think I've told you this, have I?
No.
Yeah, she gets, I can tell by everybody's face. She gets in the bed of the truck and says, I'll just sit here, so that you don't drive off. And I said, get the fuck out of the truck. I go crazy eventually, right? I just need her out because I need the fucking drugs, and I need them right fucking now, right? That's how I'm feeling inside. I back up the truck as fast. I floor it with her in the bed of the truck. When I get to the bottom of the driveway, I slam on the brakes so that she flies around. Then I go down I'm an asshole. I'm a piece of shit. This is an active addiction, not excusing these actions. These were still me. I still did this. This is still my responsibility. But had I not been in active addiction, none of this would have happened. I slam. Then I drive a good, bit down the street, swerving each way to try to swing her back and forth there because she wouldn't get the fuck out. So listen to this, though. So then the minute I stop, I realize what I've done, and that remorseful look Gary gave you.
Yeah.
I felt that because as much as I needed the drugs and was ready to do whatever I had to do to get them, I still, I loved her and I, she's, I didn't want to hurt her. It's probably the worst thing I've ever done ever. And so that's the perspective from the addict. Now, a lot of that has to do with, especially when you're using drugs, and I've said it before, when you use drugs, you numb your prefrontal cortex of your brain, and that's what has all of your character, your personality, your morals, your willpower, all of that, and the addiction comes from the midbrain, and the midbrain works 7 times faster than it. And when you numb your prefrontal cortex with drugs, and it shuts off, now you don't care about people. All you care about is your addiction and your midbrain, and it takes over. And so a little bit of that, him looking at you, he was probably remorseful, and he had to go assess, So now you guys are in the bed now. By the way,
well, he left after that. Like as soon as Wes came into the room, and I just threw my arms around Weston.
Yeah.
He looked at us, and he just looked terrified, and he fled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we didn't see him for quite a while.
There's probably shame too. I mean, right away he probably felt some shame too of like, I just need to get out of here. 1, I need to go get some drugs, and 2, he felt shameful for what he just did.
I would like to believe that. I don't know because what happened next?
Oh no, let's hear. Go on.
So we didn't see him for a few months, and I would talk to him here or there on the phone, and I did worry about him, and I didn't want a divorce or to end my marriage, and I had several people telling me that that's what I should do.
Well, that was one thing too from our childhood. Both of us, we were raised, to believe in God. That's one thing you've always hung on to, and we were also raised that you don't divorce.
Right.
And because I didn't want to get a divorce either when I did, I fought for way too long on that too. Luckily you had been through your thing and were able to help me. But so go on. So you're there.
Well,
is no
I
divorce
just felt like
anymore.
I was being forced to do something that I didn't believe in.
Right.
And I didn't want to break up my family, and I was sickness and in health. So he's on drugs. He's sick, but he did not want help. He did not want to get better. And he was dangerous, and he couldn't even live with us. And he didn't believe in God, and he almost, I could tell things were getting darker and darker for him.
Yeah.
And so we agreed, well, some things happened. I was told by our mom that I should get a divorce. She said, he's going to be the death of you. She said she was really afraid, and I was just like,
she's always had good instincts.
She does have good.
You know what I mean? When I don't listen to her, I don't know. She's always had some.
Don't tell her that.
I know.
And then there was this neighbor lady who I had never talked to before. Like we would say hi or whatever.
Yeah.
And one day I was coming home, and she said, "Hey, our grandson gave us a DVD player. Can you help us set it up?" And so I was like, sure. And it was just Wes and I just had a really long day. And I went in, and the DVD player was already hooked up and working. And they asked me to sit down.
Oh no! Oh my God!
And she said, "Sweetie, I don't know if that's your husband or your boyfriend, but we hear him, and we can hear the way he treats you and the way he talks to you. And I'm really afraid for you. And I believe you need to get out of that relationship."
Yeah.
And I was a little offended and hurt. And then 2 weeks later, I was at church, and I didn't realize it, but that woman attended the same church as me, and they announced that she had died of cancer 2 weeks later. But that day she had told me, she was like, "I need to tell you this. This is really important." So then I had a little conversation with God. I said, "God, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm not very smart. You have to yell at me. You have to tell me what to do," because I was so scared that I was going to make the wrong choice.
Right.
And so I decided to talk to Gary about it. And I said, "I think we're supposed to get a divorce." And he agreed. And he said, and we hadn't seen each other in months, I agree. we should get together. We should talk about Weston and how we're going to do this. I'll take you to dinner.
Now, is this a conversation over the phone, or you've now
This is
found
over the
me?
phone. We still haven't seen each other
Okay.
in months. And so his mom was going to watch Weston while Gary took me to dinner. And I got off the phone and I told my friend, I'm worried, like, what if he tries to hurt? And the conversation was so nice. And Gary seemed very level. And my friend said, you know what? Oh my gosh, you're overreacting. You know, you're thinking into it too much. Just he just wants to take you to dinner. He seems like he agrees with this. Just go. What could happen? But I had this weird feeling in my stomach like I shouldn't go, but I went because I just didn't trust myself because of our childhood. I never trusted my own feelings, right? Because we were always told not to feel that way. And this is, things that were not normal were normal. And so I just went with my, I always bounce things off of people like, is that normal? What do you think? So I went to this dinner and he was already acting really weird at the dinner. We didn't drink any alcohol. He sat across from me in the booth, but he got up to go to the bathroom several times. He would go to the bathroom. I don't know if that meant he was doing drugs or what.
It could have been. It could have been, yeah.
But he was acting weird. He was kind of slurring his speech a little bit. And then I said, you know what? I just want to go. I want to leave. And he got into the booth on my side and held on to me and was like, no, you're not, I don't want you to leave me. And so then I felt like this is not going the way I thought it was going to go. I thought we were going to talk about, I think that's what we were doing. We were discussing moving forward and he was being combative about it. So then and then the bathroom and the slurred speech and the weirdness, I was like, I just want to go.
So there was no part of you in that situation where it was kind of like, I still just kind of want him back.
No.
Because at this point, because probably from the time where he hasn't been at home, that separation time too. Yeah. It's almost like he's not, that you tend to be able to see things when somebody's finally not in your face, like if me and you were to hang out every single day, we wouldn't see some of each other's flaws. But if all of a sudden we're not hanging out for 3-4 months, you can see it better. You can see on people.
So weird that you
changes.
asked me this question, because I, like, sometimes when you reflect, you think about things differently. And now I'm wondering if maybe that was God's answer to my prayer. Like, he gave me peace, because I did keep taking him back. Well, I did keep wanting him and wanting him to want to be a family. So when he would come over, I would just, cling on to it and try to make things good. Yeah. So I was done doing that. Yeah. And I had been praying what to do. And so all those feelings had disappeared. I was ready to move on. And now I was scared. Yeah. So
now it's more frightening than anything else.
Right. But I didn't know how scared I needed to be at this point.
What do you mean? Does anybody need to be a certain amount of scared?
I mean, there was... My fight or flight had not kicked in yet. I was still second guessing myself. Like, he's just being a jerk and he's a mess. Like, I just want to go home. Yeah. So we're going to the front to leave. And he says he has to go to the bathroom again. And I'm with him. And he, near like the podium where the hostess, whatever. And he's lost. He doesn't know where the bathroom is. Yeah. And as I just said before, he went several times during that dinner.
Sounds to me like some benzodiazepines.
Well,
Xanax,
later I'm told
Valium.
he took pills. A friend had called the mom.
It's probably Xanax. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah. So the lady tells him where the bathroom is, but she looks at him kind of in disgust and a little disturbed, like, what is wrong with this guy? Yeah. So then she pulls me aside and she goes, "Sweetie, are you on a bad date?" And I said, "No."
A little bit.
I'm like, "No, that's my husband."
Help! Help!
Oh, Gary. No, I said, actually, that's my husband. And she goes, "Oh, did he have too much to drink?" And I said, "No, he didn't have any to drink." And she's like, "Oh, well, do you need a taxi?" And I said,
I need a lawyer and a divorce now.
Maybe
Let's
some
go.
security. No.
Dude can't find his way to the bathroom. He
So
needs
this
security.
is how bad it was. But again,
Yeah.
I'm still not processing how bad this is.
Right.
That I say, no, he's just going to take me home. He drove here, and she asked if I could drive, and I said, well, his car's a stick. I don't know how to drive a stick. I still don't know how to drive a stick.
Oh
I know, I need to learn. Okay, so we go outside, and half of the employees follow us out like we're some kind of
wow.
circus show they want to watch.
Oh,
And they're all watching us get into the truck.
I can't say I haven't done a situation like this. Like that, I've shown up Xanax barred out of my gourd at a restaurant with Emily before, where she's had to shuffle me and friends and stuff all around. And I've performed exactly like how you're describing him in front of all of our friends. As a matter of fact, we even went back to their house and I had popped a couple more to where they were like, get him out. The best friend, the guy that's house it was, literally had to come to me and say, he's like, I don't want to knock your ass out right now. Go home. Leave. And I was like, I'm leaving. And as I'm like leaving, somehow I accidentally bust a window with my elbow as I'm back on it. It was a complete accident. He was like, please just go home. He's like, I really don't want to have to hit you. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But I was so messed up and so bumbling and couldn't find around. And I don't remember a lot of this until it's told to me. But yeah, Emily had to shuffle me and get me home. How embarrassing in front of all our friends. Now you're dealing with that at a restaurant.
These people looked more scared for me.
Mm.
I could definitely see fear in their faces, but I still didn't process that I needed to be afraid. He was a bit rough with me. Like I said, he yanked me into the booth. People saw that. Patrons saw that. People that worked there saw that. For me, I had been through some serious things with him, so that wasn't as bad as some of the other experiences.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, I don't really have to deal with him anymore because we're moving on, but I just need to get home.
Mm-hmm.
Except that he was my ride and didn't intend on taking me home, and I didn't know that. So we get in the car. We're already about 45 minutes away from the town we live in, and he gets on the freeway going the direction opposite from home. So now he's going to take me even further away from home.
What are your thoughts right then? That
Well,
maybe he
at
wait. He's driving the fucking car?
Yes.
You said he couldn't find his way to the bathroom. You're in the car with this?
Well, I didn't know what to make of all this
Regardless
behavior.
of where you thought he was driving, the guy couldn't find his way to the bathroom, and your thought is, go ahead, drive, let's do this.
Thanks for making me feel, and I'm the sober person. Like all the people you have on the show, they tell you all the crazy stuff they did while under the influence. I'm completely sober, married to this
actually,
person.
let me tell you a little something. So love works where it releases so much dopamine, and love works out of the midbrain as well. And it actually does the same effect like drugs numb your prefrontal cortex. Love actually, biologically, numbs your prefrontal cortex so that you miss some of the things that the person that you're so close with does. Some of those annoying things that everybody else notices and you don't notice. That's because of love. Biologically, love numbs your prefrontal cortex just like drugs. So you weren't, you're sober, but you were in love.
I mean, I don't know.
You were. No, I'm telling you. No.
I definitely didn't want to upset him. And I know I said that like he couldn't find the bathroom. Totally true.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody noticed that. But also when he was with me, like before the bathroom and after the bathroom, he was grabbing my arm aggressively. He was walking me in a straight line to that car. Mm-hmm. He put me in the car.
He was a big dude too.
Yeah,
It's not like he was a little guy.
Yeah, he was a big guy.
No, wait. This is the first time you had seen him really in months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had he lost any weight? What kind of condition was he in?
No, he was not thin at that time. No,
Okay.
He was
still a big dude.
Yeah, he was a big dude. So he gets on the freeway. We're going the opposite direction of home. I should make it clear. We're on the right side of the freeway. We're just going not in the direction of home. Because sometimes
you're not going against the grain here.
But we might have well have been, because he's driving erratically. He's going well over the speed limit. He is swerving into lanes. Yeah. He's swerving towards big rigs, big trucks. And you know how guardrails will start?
Yeah.
on the side of the freeway. He's swerving towards those. He makes a comment that he's going to let it split the car in half and we're both going to die. I had told him at first, slow down. I told him we were going the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he knew that he didn't plan on going home. And then I said, well, I need to go home. I need to go pick up my baby.
Who's got Wes?
Pardon?
Who-
His mom and dad.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so that was kind of terrifying too. I thought I was doing a nice thing. I thought I was showing that
Right.
it was going to be amicable.
Yeah.
Everybody was still going to have a relationship with Wes. But now I'm terrified that these people who are, in my opinion, not the greatest parents,
Have your child.
have my kid, and maybe indefinitely, because now he's talking about
Killing you.
killing himself and taking me with him.
Yeah.
And he's telling me that. He's telling me he doesn't want a divorce. He's telling me you're just going to divorce me. He's telling me you won't love me anymore. You don't love me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm scared now.
You're kind of like, yeah, I don't love you. I don't know you. You're never here. All you
And
do is hurt
what
me.
you just said is key. I don't know you. Throughout this short marriage,
Mm-hmm.
I am realizing more and more I don't know him.
You didn't ever know him, and you couldn't know him unless he fully got sober,
And I don't know if he ever was sober. I don't know. I don't know. So I just know that it's bad now. So he's driving erratically. I'm scared. He's telling me all the ways we're going to die on the road. And so I see gas station after gas station. I'm thinking all kinds of thoughts are going through my head. I know at one point I was thinking about jumping out of the car, but then I realized I knew that was not an option. We were going way too fast and the cars behind us would clearly run me over. So. But that was going through my head. I was just like, I've got to get out of the car.
Oh my God.
I'm praying in my head. At this point, I'm still praying internally. There comes a point where I'm screaming at God. But at this point, I'm praying in my head. I'm asking for help, like what to do. I'm saying, please, God, I don't want to be in the car with him. Please get me out of the car with him. And so then I see a gas station and I tell him, Gary, can we
We
please?
need some gas, actually. Let's go to Vegas. Fill it out! Right? Sweetheart? We do it
No,
now.
I tell him I have to go to the bathroom. I say, please, can we pull off over
I
here,
don't
please?
want to die with a full bladder. Pull the cart over.
No, I'm still
Gary!
very passive and terrified
Oh,
and mousy.
sorry.
And I'm just
die
like,
with a full
please, I really
bladder,
have to go
please."
pee. Please, can we pull off the freeway? Please, please. And he looks at me and he goes, what, you haven't pissed yourself yet? And he maniacally, ha ha ha. And his face he doesn't even look like himself. I'm just thinking this person is possessed, but actually they're on drugs.
He's probably pumping a little R. Kelly, huh? Yeah, right? With the piss? No?
Okay.
No, sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
So he finally decides to pull off the freeway to another
Hold on.
gas station.
He says, you haven't pissed yourself. Like, I'm going to do this until you piss yourself?
Well, I think at that point he made it clear that he was intentionally trying to terrorize me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. So he pulls off and it's late now. It's really late. So I don't know how long we've been driving or how far we've gone away from home. But it's really dark. And we pull into a gas station. I don't remember what kind it was, but it was one where at a certain time of night, they close the mart.
Right.
And they just have a window you can go up to, and there's somebody inside the mart, and they'll go up to they'll get you whatever you need.
Right.
So he's walking me up, and he's holding me by the arm, and he says, "They're closed.
Whatever
See, they're
you
closed."
need. Do they have a fucking gun up there? That's,
That's what I was hoping. So he's like, "They're closed. See, they're closed." And the guy goes, "It's okay. I'll let her go." He knew we didn't even say I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
He says, "It's okay. I'll let her go." And I'm just thinking, "Oh my gosh, thank you, God."
By the way, for everybody thinking, why didn't she just pull out her cell phone and call 911? This is before cell phones.
Yeah,
This is
I didn't
90s,
own a
right?
cell phone.
Late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah,
Early 2000s.
it's a
Wes was born,
2001, I think, or
01 or
2002.
02.
Yeah, I definitely didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
And in fact, I don't get a cell phone till later. We'll get there.
All right.
So
I just wanted to point out, because a lot of people were probably like, why didn't she just call 911? I don't get it. It's
yeah,
like,
no, they
not
had
an
these
option.
little things,
Not
these
an
little
option.
booths where you could put quarters in them and push
Oh.
buttons,
Really?
and you could call information and get people's phone numbers. So anyway, we're at this gas station. The attendant opens it, unlocks the door, lets us both in. I go into the bathroom. I have my little purse.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a cell phone, but it has lipstick. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to write on the mirror my name and the only number I knew by heart, because normally, you would write numbers in little books,
Yeah.
little notepads.
Yeah.
So I knew mom and dad's number by heart. So I was going to write that on there and tell them about my son and tell them I've been taken by my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, Gary's pounding on the door and he says, hurry up in there. I got to go.
He
So
comes
I'm
into
thinking,
a scene out of Batman with lipstick all over the wall.
Okay.
All
me
over
tell
the
you,
walls in the bathroom with the lipstick.
I had not put that lipstick against the mirror yet. That was my plan. If
okay.
I don't know if you've ever put lipstick on a mirror, but for anybody who has not, it does not come off easily. It would have been a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
I would not have been able to get it off. So
Yeah.
praise God, I had not written on the mirror yet. Now I'm thinking, oh, good. He's going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to run to the attendant. I'm going to go behind the counter with him. He's surely got a gun.
Right.
And I'm done. This is over. The hell's over.
Yeah.
Gary, who's on drugs, you said, can't even find the bathroom.
Can't
How
even
could you have
find the
gotten in the car with him? Which, by the way, he seemed really coherent
You
so
can
far
come in
driving.
and out. You can come in and out. I mean, it depends what he was on. We don't know exactly what he
Right.
was on.
So I open the door. I'm
I mean,
coming
I
out.
speculated,
I go
but-
to walk past him,
Yeah.
and he grabs me by the arm,
Mhm.
pulls me in, leans his body into the bathroom, flips on the light, looks around like he knew. Thank goodness I hadn't written on there. And then drags me back out to the
You
truck.
ain't writing on anything with lipstick in here, are you?
Yeah. I was like, how does he know? So then we go back outside. There's a guy getting ready to pump air into his tires. There's a lady pumping gas. And he opens the truck door for the passenger side, tosses me into the seat, and now I can't find his keys. Now, I had been praying that I wouldn't have to get back into this truck with him ever
I
again.
would have got in and locked all the
So
doors.
now he is accusing me of taking his keys, and he's
Of course.
cussing at me, and he's taking my body, and he's slamming me against the seat.
Yeah.
My head's hitting the seat, and he's looking for his keys, and I'm saying, I didn't take them. I promise I didn't take your keys. I don't have your keys. And all of a sudden, he finds them on the floorboard close to my feet.
Yeah.
So he says, see, you took them. You were hiding them from me.
Right.
And the whole time he's slamming my head, I'm praying to God, God, please give him his keys. Please give him his keys, please. And then I'm screaming too, help me, somebody help me. And those two people are just staring and watching. Nobody's helping me. Like I was
Apparently
screaming.
you should have yelled fire, fire. I guess everybody runs towards that to help. But
Yeah,
if
I
you
don't know.
yell,
I was screaming as
something
he
else,
was
they run
bringing me
away.
to the truck to
Okay.
help. And then when he put me in, and then that's probably why he thought I took his keys, because I was screaming for help. So he
Yeah.
knew I didn't want to get in the truck. So anyway, so he gets in the truck. We get on the freeway, and this time he's going in the direction of home. So now I'm feeling hopeful that we're going in the direction. So now I
have
know.
to say, as your brother hearing these stories, I get really, really like, this bothers me how physical he got. Drug addict or not, in our addiction or not, we're responsible for our actions. You know, I'm responsible for the terrible stuff I did. It just doesn't necessarily, it doesn't define you. It doesn't define him as a person. If he were to get sober, these actions wouldn't be who he is. You know, it doesn't, but it should be something that he knows he did. So it's what I'm trying to do is separate people that have shame over things and guilt over things, you know?
Well, I think this story isn't something that I go around sharing with people
No.
because I feel shame and embarrassment for one, being divorced, for two, choosing that type of person to marry, three, the story is insane. Does it make me seem like less of a person, like an idiot? Like, it's a huge learning experience for me.
That's
But
I mean, those are some big feelings that you just talked about. You just named some big ones right there. You're feeling all of that, you know, and confused a little bit at the situation, when really you should feel however you're feeling, you know?
right. And also it was out of my control. So I don't know. I mean, parts of it, clearly I played a part in the sense that
We always have to look at our part in everything.
that's what my therapy
yeah.
was for me, to know, so that I could change my thought process, the way that I interact with people and choose people. And
Yeah, well, no, exactly. It's we accept that something has happened. We try to learn from it and grow from it. And so yeah, you like you're saying, and you do that through therapy. But finish. We still have more of the
So
story.
back in the car
You're-
with Gary, do
yeah.
I live or do I die? Do I escape?
I don't know. Tune in
Joel's
next week.
holding his breath over there. Or sleeping, I don't know.
Joel is engineering is what Joel's doing.
Hey, I thought
Give
that
a
was
Jew
gonna
a
happen to me.
microphone, huh?
Yeah, but mostly I'm engaged and not
I know,
trying to
I know
juggle my
it.
own spin.
He's watching. He's
Okay,
so
all
used
right.
to me tearing up the treble on this. This poor guy has to go through all my treble from when I fucking laugh. So he's sitting there monitoring it.
I hope that I've been steady for you, Joel.
So we broke this episode in half. We went a little long here, and I know, you want to know what happens at the end of this story, and you do want to know what happens. Trust me. It turns into a story that's inspirational. That's about women being able to get out of abusive relationships. Women being able to get out of a relationship when they're in love with a drug addict who's being abusive, and you do want to hear the end of this story. All you got to do is roll into the next episode. We got it sitting there for you. But I do want to say, everybody that is watching or listening to the show, once again, we have the website is thisisournormalpodcast.com. You can go there. There's a contact link. Please use it. We want to know. Write in, talk to us, be part of the show. Leave comments, questions. You can, if you want to be part of the show, we have a thing now where Joel's setting up so you can call in. So email us or go to that contact link, and we'll be able to set something up where you can call in. But we want you to be part of the show. Please be part of the show. But as far as this episode goes, we're going to close it out. Roll into the next one. You'll find out what happens to Aime Jones. And you don't want to miss it. All right. Talk to you in a minute here.